everyone. I think we're live. Holla 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 from Big Mac Danskull. So, welcome to Monday Musing with Bill. It's so hot. It's so ridiculously hot here, but we'll get through it. I'm sure we can. Let's catch up on the chat, see who's in, see who's saying hello. Are the levels okay? Can you guys hear me okay? I hope so. Let's have a quick catch up then. Oh, Henry. Hi, Henry. How are you doing, sir? Vicaria. Gary Waddingham. Hi. Orc Boys. Johnsonator. Rower. Bob H. Oh, Elston Nation. Hey, Elston. How you doing? Sean Jewett. Orc Love God. Crikey, there's a whole bunch of you here already. I wonder if that's that like 12-hour countdown I did. Orc Boys. Void 72. Gary. Oh, Gary again. Adrian Trevor. Hi, everyone. Johnsonator wants to know who's doing Genestealer Cult. I'm doing Genestealer Cult. Brian Montgomery. Hello, everyone. Hey, Brian. Fell Hate. Sweet. I'm not late. No, you're not late. Nobody can complain. I didn't give enough warning this time. I hate elves even more now. Now I'm confused. Holla, holla, holla. Adrian Trevor. Hi. Painting dark elves just for old time's sake. They're going to be so hot this edition. Ronnie Dodd. Evening all. Ralph, hey Ralph, how are you doing? Thordalim, hey, how are you doing? Stalker 40k, Simplecast, Simplecast, I quite like that name. Hello, Kablams, yo, Dark Elf Dave is in the house, Martin Dix, I all back into hobbies after layout from Metal and Crosis. Bob H, hot, it is hot. What else we got? Frank Storm, hello. If you guys get a chance to get Dark Imperium, it's worth a read. I'm really annoyed actually because Guy Haley was at Warhammer World on Saturday and we could have got him to sign the book, but that's I missed the chance. Video sounds okay. Thank you very much. Sound okay. Video okay. What do you mean? 34 degrees in the shade here in France. Oh my god. Wow, I thought I was complaining. Frost and Fist, hey Frost and Fist, how you doing? Blade of Templar, evening all. Vaughn, Killian, what's up guys? Hey Vaughn, I don't recognise that name actually. Thank you for joining us. Maybe you've commented before, but apologies. But new name, Bob H. Martin Dix, miss me. The love lol. Rick Vaz, Gonk. Great, Gonk. And 676 Mitch, it's so hot in my house. Two hobbits came into my room and chucked a ring in it. Yes, love it. Love your channel, Rick Vaz. Hey Rick, we love you for loving the channel. Karanis, hey all. And no matter what Kabam saying about smushing loads of orcs under his pointy back beliefs, don't trust him. Full room today. Yes, it is Frost and Fist. And Neil, hey Neil, how you doing? Right, okay, I'll catch up on the chat again as I can. Well, you know I'm rubbish at keeping up with the chat, but I'll do my best. I did kind of think last time, originally, I had loads of things I wanted to talk about and didn't get round to it. So I'm going to try a little bit harder this time. So, right, where are we? What have I been working on and what's been happening over the last few days? I think a few things I was hoping to cover. First and foremost, we were up at Warhammer World on Saturday, which was pretty cool. There was loads of stuff going off there. They were running their 24-hour broadcast, and there was a lot of very sleepy community team people there, but they were doing a sterling job of keeping it going. There was the last of the 7th edition tournaments on, so it was rammed in there, and we got a chance to pick up a couple of things like lovely Imperial Armor, Forces of Chaos, and I pre-ordered the Xenos one as well. So I was pretty excited about that. Although I was a little bit disappointed because somehow I'd managed to convince myself that the Xenos one was going to be out on Saturday, and it wasn't. It was on pre-order on Saturday. So, oh my goodness me, it's all getting a bit hot in the talk. So what have we got? Ralph got Dark Imperium, but to wait, just waiting for the starter box and my second copy. Mail, thanks GW, you are late. I'm so sorry, Ralph. It's well worth the wait though. I know that's no consolation. Joseph Bitch. Okay, read my name too. There you go, Joseph Belch. Blesh. Oh, someone give me pronunciation of that surname. I've made an absolute mess of it. Grumbleback. What's hot in the UK and what is the humidity? Hot in the UK is anything above 10 degrees Celsius, and humidity is anything above sticky t-shirt. That's the official statement from the Metropolitan office. So, evening all from Stephen Leggett. 30 degrees and moist, sticky, moist. What a word. Oh, I'm not going there, Sean. Flipping heck, yeah. Oh dear, Big Mac Danskell wearing nothing but his iPad. That's quite a frightening and sobering thought. Okay, where are we at? Let's see if somebody's helping me out with the pronunciation. Nobody has. I'm just going to say Joseph then. Hey Joseph, how you doing? There we are. I've tried to recover from making a mess of your name. Does anybody here play Tyranids? I have a quick question about paying points for some of the war gear. Massive talons for a Trigon. Do you paint the points once, or for all 3 pairs, or 1 for each pair? So 3 points. I think I can answer that question. You have to pay for all of them unless there is a listing for like the set of 3. So there is an equivalent in the Eldar Codex. The Wave Serpent comes with twin scatter lasers, which has its own point value, as opposed to a single scatter laser. But lo and behold, guess what? A twin scatter laser is double the points of a scatter laser. So you will pay for all 3 pairs if that is what it's armed with. I'm just having a quick look actually. The Tyranid book. So is this the Trigon? Let's just have a quick look at how it's listed. Trigon, look at that for speed. I got there straight away. So it's all about what it comes armed with to start with. So yes, 3 pairs of massive scything talons and a toxin spike. So if we were to just flip to the end, massive Tyranid war gear, melee weapons, massive scything talons. Massive Scythens, 2 or more pairs, Trigon and 60 points? Seriously? That sounds horrible. 3 pairs of massive Scything talons. Oh, it looks like there is simply a single listing for them. So that's for the Trigon and the Trigon Prime. It's massive Scything talons, 2 or more pairs, 60 points. So you are paying 60 points for all of them. So no, don't pay individually. I've got a horrible feeling if you're talking about 3 points times 3. No, it says in the listings, it actually lists them specifically for the Trigon. So there you go, 60 points for all 3. Right, where were we? Oh dear, moaning about the weather, 94, blah, blah, blah. Anybody know whether disgusting resilient works against mortal wounds? It's fairly clear after going through all of the books, unless it specifically says mortal wounds, then no it doesn't. Because any power or ability that does work against mortal wounds states it works against wounds and mortal wounds. For all intents and purposes, mortal wounds are essentially a completely different type of wound. Wearing my finest squig speedos. Oh my goodness me, it's all getting a bit hot and freaky in the chat. Frost and Fist. Right, favourite army so far. My books are not there yet. Favourite army so far. I'm loving Genestealer Cult, I have to say, and I've not built it yet, and I've not played it yet, but I am trying. Anyone else catching the postings of datasheet of Chaos Warlord? Anybody else? No, but I've got Chaos Warlord in this wonderful book, so we can have a look at that later if that's okay. Right, let's do a little bit of a hobby catch up, seeing as though I am up to the chat. Let's see what we've got here. So, rather appallingly, this is what I am working on at the moment. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I've decided to, I am trying to create a new avatar of Cain for my Eldar, and this is so bad, and Sam reacted so poorly to my decision because I've got the Forge World avatar of Cain, and I've decided that the model is too big for its stats. So I decided, can I tilt this a little bit this way? Let's try that. Let's try that. And a bit of that, bit of that, bit of that. There you go. I'm in both cameras now. So yeah, I decided the model was too big for the stats because it really isn't that huge anymore. So I decided to get the Finecast one and see if I can make a half decent model out of it, because it's not the greatest of models. But I decided, with a bunch of reposing and a bunch of trickery, and mainly the main change, one, I've lowered his hand, so it's not so kind of up in the air waving, which they've got it kind of going on the box. I've changed the angle of the blade and the angle of the arm, so I've lifted it up so he's doing like a downward stroke was the idea. I've taken this leg off here and pinched it in, so he's striding. As you can see there, look, he's striding rather than sort of pacing forward. And then this is the biggie. I've added about 2.5–3 millimeters to the torso, which has actually given him better proportions in terms of the size of his head and the legs and all the rest. So obviously that's just the filigree stuff at the moment. I've got the detail to work on top, and I'll put all the detail in. And then once it's done, I will stick some paint on it. So that's the first thing I've been working on. Let's have a quick catch up on chat. What do you think of Grey Knights in the new faction? I have to say I've not read the Grey Knights. Plastic Sisters are needed. Hi Brian, how you doing? Yes. Oh, Pentacant was the one asking about Grey Knights. I'm sorry, mate. I haven't actually read up on them yet. So, but Sam is probably the man to ask for that, because he's been working on Grey Knights for Rachel at some point. Plastic Sisters are needed from Brian. Yes, they are indeed. I've been looking at the Sisters of Silence, thinking, I'm wondering if there's something I could do there, to be honest, in terms of conversion. It can't be that difficult. But wouldn't it be nice if they actually released the actual models? Ralph Hummel, fantastic production values. I think that's me jiggling the camera around, is it? Oh, right. Scariest army in my limited experience so far is Dark Eldar. I've never played them before, and they destroyed an experienced guard player army. They are either scary or I'm awesome. It's not the latter. I think the problem is nobody's experienced at 8th edition. So there may well be an experienced guard player, but they might play completely differently. And we certainly found that in the Eldar v Tyranids. They play differently now. You know, it's the same set of models, but the rule set and how they interact with each other has changed so significantly. I think it's hard just to go, I can carry that experience into 8th. I think it helps, but the fact that some things have significantly changed means you can get caught out. Dan Flack, hey, I thought I'd check out the channel. I bumped into you at Warhammer World on Saturday. You were advising my mate to buy some Wraith Lords. If I end up getting slaughtered, I know who to thank. Yes, sorry about that, mate. I think I was saying buy all the Wraith Lords, all of them. But thank you for joining us, Dan, anyway. And yeah, you can't really hold me responsible for that. Wraith Lords are amazing. You should at least have 20 of them, to be honest. Right, got back into 7th. This is Joseph, back into 7th from 2nd with Eldar. No fun to win all the time. Angry, disappointed Marine companion. Hope there's more fun for both. I hope so too. We've not done Eldar against Marines yet. But from what we've seen so far, if Tyranids versus Eldar is anything to tell us, then yes, there is a great deal of balance that's taken place. But as ever, I think there's a bit of a social contract in terms of what you take. Right, what have we got here? Frost and Fists and Mephos in the same chat. This is, anything could happen. Right, Tyranids have proven effective for me. I tore through an Eldar army that said Death Guard are powerful, they just won't die. Yeah, I know. Jack has picked up the Death Guard and he's got 3 box sets in production just on a shelf up there. And he's already been adding to them. So, and of course, he's been going through that and looking at all the wonderful little Nurgly vehicles that he can add to it as well, and Greater Demons and all the rest. If he starts going down the Chaos route anyway, it's all going to get horrible. What else has been going off on the hobby desk? Well, this is the exciting thing. I've started working on my Genestealer Cult, which means a whole bunch of big people like this lovely fella here is coming along. I really, really, really like this model. There's the pure blood Genestealers. Super excited about those. So much so that I've scoured the internet and eBay and everything else, and I've purchased another 8 of them. So I've got a unit of 10 of those. These models are just incredible. They've not been cleaned up yet, by the way. So if you see little bits of tag hanging off them and stuff like that, I just haven't cleaned them up. At the moment, I'm building, and I'll explain why I'm building so heavily at the moment. The other thing I've been doing is I've been swapping components around on these guys to try and get as much variation out of them as possible. So that's the thing. I've got a massive pile of plastic on my desk, and the reason I've got a massive pile of plastic is some of them are built, some of them are half built, some of them I'm stealing parts off for other parts, because most of these are out of the Deathwatch Overkill box. So these lovely aberrants, which are just amazing. I love those, fantastic. But what am I doing? Little things like this. This is the Primus. So if I can hold that a bit close to the camera, there you go. I'll do my best. So that's the Primus. Really like the model, but I wanted something that looked a little bit more like this. So a little bit of conversion later, and as you can see, let me put my hand under that. So as you can see, my little Commissar Primus. And there's a reason I'm doing that, which I'll come back to later. Right, okay, so what else have I been doing then? Well, these, I've been working on these, which are my Scout Sentinels for mining equipment. So as you can see, I've scratch built a little grabber arm, which will proxy for the chainsaw blade that comes out of the Scout Sentinel. And I've got my little Genestealer chappies in there, look, happily working away. You know, busy beaver down at the mine. Uh-oh, time for an uprising. I know, I'll just jump in this bad boy and start hitting some people with it. And I've magnetized the weapons, so I've got a couple of these. So I've magnetized the weapons. And again, it's only a base coat at the moment, sort of a pre-shaded base coat, ready for all kind of airbrushing and detail work and stuff like that. But this is going to be a challenge for me because it's going to be a heavily weathered army, and I'm not great on weathering. I've grown up working on Eldar, so I find weathering quite a challenge. So I'm going to be talking to Sam for lots of tips and tricks and to get my weathering sorted. Right, okay, but why do I want a Commissar version of him? And that's because this is my converted Chimera. So what I wanted with this is oh no, that's magnetized. It looks donkey, doesn't it? What I wanted with this is to essentially look like, I think I prefer, by the way, vote on with or without that thing. It's so hard, I can't think of words. Dozer blade, with or without the dozer blade. It's magnetized, so it doesn't really matter anyway. These are obviously the kind of Imperial Guard mutated Genestealer Cult, and for my sort of background story, the way this works is you've got the mining corporation, which these fellows work for, quite happy, busy mining away, providing the Imperium with sort of tithes of minerals and all the rest, and being good until the last minute. And what I kind of envisaged these as was essentially the mining's security force. So kind of think the kind of local police / riot squad for when the miners are misbehaving and all the rest. So that was the idea of this, giving it the wheeled vehicles. These wheels are from Goliath as well. The conversion meant, because I wanted to sort of drop the wheels, I actually sort of added this slope here. So I wanted to drop this bit over the wheels, and then dropping that, it created this. I had to create this drop, so I had to bang all these rivets in and things like that. So that's my little pacifier Chimera, which I'm super happy about. And to go with that, I have got obviously these tiny little guardsmen. Oh, there we go. So I've got guardsmen who are going to be the security force versus these who are the miners. Obviously, they work together in terms of an uprising, but you know, everybody likes to party, and these guys are about keeping them in track until the uprising is ready. Hence, the Primus being a kind of military commissar who's actually in charge of the security force, whereas the Magos is in charge of the miners. So that was my little backstory that I wanted to do. I've still got that model because I really like that model anyway, and I might still use it from time to time, but the idea is that he kind of leads this security force. So the reason these are all in lots and lots of awkward places is these guys come. So this is from the Genestealer sprue, with really, really cool shotguns. So I'm going to be hacking these apart, swapping the shotguns over, and making sure the arms and the hands line up. It's going to be quite a conversion job to give each one of these a shotgun, or for the heavy weapons point of view, oh, I love that, I'll come back to that later. I'm going to give them a Weber. I really like this little weapon here, so if I can hold that up to the camera, there you go, the little Weber. And I love the fact that this thing fires a web, and of course if you're talking about pacifying people, then the idea of this web going over them is just awesome. And the captain amongst them as well, give him the little Weber pistol. The idea there, so nice. No, you know, if it's about security, then he needs a club, doesn't need a chainsaw. So that's where I'm at with my Genestealer Cult. Let's catch up on the chat and see what people are saying. Oh my goodness me, how long did I leave that? Warhound. You wonder what's happening now? Anyone else catch posting the date sheet for Warlord Titan? Any blow 30 damage volcano as well? I'll give you some information on that in a second. Then, what do you think about Grey Knights? Oh, I think I've covered that. Right. Okay. Let's see if I can catch the chat. So big monsters list won't work as well in 8, but what about medium-sized monsters? Who knows? Who knows? I just want to play loads of games. Right. The chat's just full of crazy nonsense. Maybe I should not even. Not sure I should even try and catch up. That commissar looks great. Thank you very much, Seymourson. How you doing? That's going to be a cool looking army. Look forward to seeing the results. Lots of work to do yet, but I'm hoping to get them done in probably a 2 to 3 week period. I think up to about 1,000 points I'm aiming for. Ice cream suit Scroop, thank you very much for the dozer. I'd love to see some bit size alts and alts fights return to the beast. Yes, I'd love to do that. How do you typically build an army? Do you just buy all the stuff like in one big order, or piece by piece, or do you have specific lists in mind from the beginning? Sebastian, right, okay, possibly all of those three. My Eldar has been piece by piece, always. I've sort of added 1 or 2 units at a time. The Genestealer Cult was purchased all in one go, partly because I knew I was going to be chopping and changing, and there's nothing like having a pre-built bits box before you even get going. So if you look at this, let's just have a quick look at that. Everything that comes off a sprue goes in a box, and any sprue that's finished, as soon as I've finished building, I snip the rest off and drop it in that box. And therefore, when I sort of carry on building with the army, I'm going back through the big bits box I've already built, which enables me. It all depends on how much, you know, how much conversion you want to actually do. So whether you want to do, oh dear me, the dog's telling the world off. So it all depends on how much conversion you want to do. If you're just going to get them out of the box, it doesn't really matter if you've got them all at once or not. I do think building to a list is a good idea. So before you jump into anything, probably getting the codex, or in this case now the indexes, and seeing what you want to do with them. Saying that, the Weber guns, I have no idea what the stat does. I was just flipping through the sprues and came across the Weber guns, and I thought, if you've got a police force that's about sort of arriving and taking care of riots and trouble and all the rest, then Weber weapons just seem to make sense to me. You know, it's like subduing. You're not going to show up to riot control with a flamer, are you? So it just didn't seem right. So I really like that idea. I've no idea whether they're any good or not. I must look them up at some point. And that's the other thing. It depends whether you want to build your conversions based on the rule of cool, as they say, rather than that's the most combat effective. So in this instance, I'm not doing a lot of reading on what does what. I am just picking cool models and having a lot of fun with them. Although I have to say I did take a sneaky peek at Genestealers to see if they were any good. Right. One of those days I need to get my head around magnetizing. Is that something you would do a guide on? If there are not guides already out there. There are a few guides out there, Stephen. But we can certainly do one. I do a little thing. There's two things you can do. I think you can place the magnets together. The main thing is polarity more than anything. So if you place two magnets together and then you get a little marker pen and do the outside of each outside of each magnet, then you know that if you do that, they'll connect again. So all you have to do is for the model point of view, you've got your polarity sorted, and if you place the marker into the model on each face, then you know you've got your polarity sorted. I also use a little polarity stick, which is basically a bit of plastic rod with some heavily araldited magnets on each end of the plastic rod to the right polarity with a little marker on plus and minus. And the reason I use that is because I can kind of drop the magnet onto the end of the little rod, and once I've drilled the hole I can just push it into the hole and slide it to one side and leave the super glue in the hole. So I'll do a tip on that. I'll do a quick video because it's useful to do that way. Bill's going through his hobby stuff. Genestealer Cult. Looks super weathering tips. I will check him out. Thank you very much, Neil. Looks like Genestealers to me, as I'm a great fan of the army and fluff. Yes, they are. They're really, really pretty stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that. 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 years of my Marines, and I've still not painted many. Yeah, well, there's fast armies and slow armies. This is for the channel. I need to get it done first and foremost, and I think we've set a 1 month timeline to get these armies in place. There's a whole bunch of us going to be doing it. So with the reason I say 2 to 3 weeks is because generally within that month I'm going to have crazy stuff happen at work, which might take me out of order for a couple of 2 or 3 days. So I can't plan for it to be 3 to 4 weeks. I need to plan it to be 2 to 3 weeks, and that gives me some time. I'm hoping to actually probably paint about 1,500 points rather than 1,000, simply because if they're on the table and they're getting airbrushed and then they're getting painted, it will get me going. Saying that, my Eldar have been in production for 4 years now, so not everything happens in 2 to 3 weeks. Oh, right. Doesn't hurt to buy bits bags whenever you can. Yeah, it's true, actually. I've never really done it because I've always built up, but it is useful to grab hold of stuff, definitely. And eBay's great for that, isn't it? Do they show model pictures in the index books? No, they don't. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, you just get those things basically. That's showing. Yeah, so all you get is the data sheet basically. So no models. Right. Wow. Hey Phil. Oh, hey TDS Payload. How you doing? Rule of cool is my standard approach. This is from C. Mawson. Rule of cool is standard approach for all army building whenever the game. My first stuff was picked based on ROC. Yeah, I can't. So I have to be enthused about a build. So for me, I've got to get excited about it. And therefore, if I've got like a little narrative and a little story going off in my head behind all the conversions, then I get quite excited about it and want to do it. So the idea of, I love the idea of these guys. Hold on a sec. I love the idea of these guys just trundling down, you know, around the industrial zone and kind of jumping out and pacifying crowds of unruly miners, or even worse, unruly civilians who've discovered that the miners are actually crazy Genestealer dudes that are going to take over the planet and all the rest. So I've not decided on the colour on it. At the moment he's got a base of red, but I'm not decided on that yet. Right, okay. I always thought of using magnetized parts to apply the magnets. You can never mix the polarity up. That's true, but you can get the polarity different between each part. So I know what you're saying, but I suppose you could do the body, then the body back to the arm, and then the arm back to another body. I'm only going from, you know, when you're doing some of the Eldar vehicles and there's 6 or 7 different loadouts. I just find it easier just to do all the weapons in one go. I don't use magnets because I lose stuff all the time. That is a problem. Okay, what have we got? Use a pen marker on the ends of the magnets. Make sure it's marked ends. In the model, yeah, absolutely. And the to 40k pictures in the index, but it would have been nice to decide which armies to collect. That's true, although of course, you know, the website is pretty much full, isn't it, of everything you could ever possibly need, I suppose, in terms of 360s and all the rest. But you're right, it would have been nice, but then again, that would have made the books bigger, and if they'd have made the books bigger, they may have increased the price. So I'm quite happy where they are. Right, specifically Warlord Titan, there was a question around that. Can you do me a favour to save me scrolling back up? If you have a question on the Warlord Titan, let me know, or the Warhound Titan. Magnets or Magnus? How about Magnetized Magnus? That would be good. Magnets Magnuson. Isn't he the world's strongest man? Maybe. Okay. I'll tell you what I wanted to do amongst this live chat then. Wow, I'm really already... I've been waffling on already. What I wanted to do was to pop along and have a look at a couple of things on the internet while we have a quick look. So first and foremost, I wanted to check out the latest FAQ. Only it's not an FAQ, is it, folks? It is designer's note document. Something just fell down the door. Hold on a second. So, right, what Warhammer community did was release this article today. And oh no, sorry, not yesterday. It was a couple of days ago, actually, the 17th. And it said, obviously, the document: read the rules, get the T-shirt, nice video, a whole bunch of stuff about the books. And then we get to this wonderful little section here, the designer's commentary, which for designer's commentary read FAQ. I love how they didn't call it an FAQ, because that would like be kind of like an admission of meaning there was some lack of clarity to some areas. I'm not sure it was that bad, actually. I don't know why they just didn't call it the FAQ, but maybe it's because people haven't had it long enough to officially ask questions. Who knows? Okay, so what was the big hoo-ha on the internet about? Well, the big hoo-ha on the internet was about this one here. So if an ability grants a reroll, for example, hits rolls of 1, such as a Space Marine's Captain's Rights of Battle, does this effect trigger before or after applying modifiers in the to hit roll? And this is that classic one where the wording is fairly unambiguous. It says, you know, you do the roll, you do rerolls, and then you apply modifiers. But because it was counterintuitive, I think, to how you know, the learned behaviors of playing 7th edition, it just messed with people's heads. They've done it. I think they've done it quite clearly, just to get make it less powerful for rerolls, basically. So the example they give here is, you know, we've got a ballistic skill of 3, moves and fires a heavy bolter of a heavy weapon of 3 whilst within range of a Space Marine Captain's Rights of Battle, means you allow rerolls of 1. So you roll the dice, you get a 1, 2, and a 5. Rerolls applied before modifiers. In this example, a single dice, so the 1 is the reroll of the 1 is applied, resulting in a 3. So we've now got a 2, 3, and a 5. The modifiers are then applied after the reroll. In this example, there is a -1 modifier to the hit rolls for moving and firing a heavy weapon, which means the post reroll score is 2, 3, and 5. And then modified down to 1, 2, and 4. So in other words, you only get 1 hit. So that's it. That's what all the fuss seemed to be about. It's fairly straightforward. It does mean rerolls aren't as powerful as they once were, which is a good thing, isn't it? Because they were just crazy. And I did worry quite a lot about how many rerolls we were seeing on the stat sheets and all the rest, because we were thinking, hold on a second, this was meant to be, you know, a little bit of a level playing field. But so I was worried to see them everywhere. But that certainly is going to help. Is there anything else really that was in that FAQ? I mean, what did you guys think to it? Is there anybody who's read this yet? Did it contradict anything they want? I mean, the final one, I'll jump to the final one just because It just bent my head, to be honest, but here we go. If I choose a keyword for a unit such as regiment for Astra Militarum, could I choose the keyword to be, for example, Blood Angels or Death Guard? And the answer is no, no, no. Simply changing the name of your Astra Militarum regiment to Blood Angels does not a Blood Angel make. So yeah, but you know, rules have written, rules have intended. I suppose there was nothing stopping you do it, and if you were to check them out in a spell checker, they would indeed be the same words, but just not the same intent. So it did make me chuckle. Here we go. Let's jump into the chat, see if anybody's got any issues with what went on. Right, here we go. Sam, get out of hiding. You're missing Sam. Sam's on Wednesdays. You can catch Sam on Wednesday and Friday, Ralph. Don't worry. He's probably working. Oh, there you go. He's building his Custodes for Rachel. He's working on his Custodes. So much lead belcher. I'm having nightmares. I think that was a comment earlier about never decided to try and make NID look metallic as if they've consumed Necrons. I did do a test model of metallic and for NIDs, and it didn't quite work for me, to be honest, you know. And I tried and failed. Santa is right, I'll never see you. There's a reason but not an excuse, Sam. Oh dear. Planning on starting the Death Corps with Krieg Army, already pre-ordered the index book. In Magnus the Red, you are a supreme being of great taste, because they are such an amazing looking army. Sam was dribbling over them at Warhammer World when we were there at the weekend, and for all good reasons. Right, Frost and Fist is working on Custodes tonight. Custodes, Frost and Fist. You can't work on Custodes when your name is Frost and Fist. There should be one army for you and one army only. Oh wait, I suppose they could come under Fist. Right, okay then. Nice one, mate. I'm finding there is limited posing options without chopping and changing. Yeah, well, as you can see, my big pile of parts all over the all over my desk, chopping and changing. You shouldn't fear that, Sam. Get on with your chopping and changing. Ralph, that whole issue came up with Mini Wargaming Review, and I did not get the gist of it. Did you get the gist of it in terms of how it was upsetting people, or did you not just understand the rule? I mean, the biggest issue that most people has, of course, is if you're on a positive modifier and you've got rerolls of 1, and you know you need, or rather a negative modifier, if you need a 4 to hit and rerolls of 1, you can't roll. You can't apply the negative modifier to the 2s to make it become a 1, giving you twice as many rerolls would be one example of why people would be upset about it. Right, we had a great conversation in the car up to Warhammer World, where we were trying to discuss all the different scenarios that would or wouldn't happen, and it just seemed to upset everybody in the car. Right, working on the Triarch Stalker, surreal. What a great model. I built 2 of those alongside my brother with some crazy airbrushing work. They are a great model, and you know, I think I said last time I was on, I think Necrons are highly underestimated. I think there's some beautiful models in there. Magnus, same here, I love the models. Right, Wargamer Online, I'm here in spirit. Does Sam want to join the chat? I don't know whether I can. I could try. Right, what else have we got going off? I think that's it. Magnus the Red Armor Free. It's funny how that just got highlighted for me in the chat. Okay, so what else has been going off? Well, there was a whole bunch of stuff. The primer's out. That's exciting, isn't it? Because we can all print our rules out now. A few people have missed this. There's a load of stuff on the chat, people saying, where can I get my digital copy from? Just pop along to the community site, and what's weird is it's right down at the bottom of the page of that posting as well, so you kind of have to pop all the way down. There may be another route into it. I haven't found it. It could be straightforward and easy to find, but there you are. There's the battle primer, and you can choose your language. I've seen quite a few languages. They've done good. and there you can pull up the rules from the primer now, which by primer what they mean is essentially all the basic rules. I don't think it covers any of the advanced rules at all. I'm pretty certain it doesn't actually, because obviously it's a primer just to get you up and going, and if you want the advanced rules you are going to need to have to buy the book, I suppose. What's there? Only war. Oh, so it just gives you the basic mission as well at the end of the primer. Right, okay. Sticking with my fist. I like the fact that they have a collection. I'm surprised that this has become an issue over rerolls. Did not occur to any of us down the way to see it any. Yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? And it's because it's how Sigmar's played all along. I suppose if you're coming out of Sigmar, you know, then it makes sense. So many people couldn't find the battle primer because of how well hidden it is in community post. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so apparently it can be downloaded from the website as well, right below the Age of Sigmar rules. You think, I suppose in many respects it's one of those things, you think they'd make a bigger deal of it, but then if they do make a bigger deal of it, then maybe there's less of an incentive to rush out, buy the book. Oh, great! Surreal's wading in there with a example. Another problem with reroll gate is that if you roll 3s to hit, but you know you need a 4+ after modifier, you cannot reroll 3s as misses because without the mod 3 rolls hit. Exactly, that was the big one that everyone was getting upset about. But I mean, I think there's 2 ways they've dealt with that. One, a lot of the rerolls are basically rerolls of 1 anyway. They haven't just given flat rerolls. There are a few of them, I acknowledge that, but most of them are rerolls of 1. So that it's less likely to happen. And even so, again, as it applies, it makes those rerolls slightly less powerful. But it is frustrating knowing that you've hit but not really hit. And that was the thing that was bending Sam's head. He was like, yeah, but it's missed, surely. How do the order dice released with 8 work in the game? There doesn't seem to be any details over what the symbols mean. They have posted that online on what the symbols mean. First and foremost, of course, the dice, I'm just having a quick look actually, the dice were used as just counters for your command points, so you're just meant to put them down, and as you use your command point up, if it's a re-roll or something like that, you pick that dice up and roll that dice and then discard it, so you know you're using your command points up, which makes perfect sense. But the icons on them that do denote a few things was on the community page actually saying what saying what each one is, so check that out. If not, I'll try and find it and put a link below. Right, one of the hobby shops in Taunton was begging us to take copies of the primer as well as those rules that came in the box. They were not trying to give models away. Yes, well they were. I think all the shops were sent a big stack of the primer for their own use basically, but you know, so yeah, they're just dumping them, aren't they? Okay, what else did I want to have a look at? Well, have a quick look. Oh, right, of course. Yes, this happened the other day. So I had Mark Rapson on talking about his range of models and all the rest, and he started chatting about his Kickstarter gore ball, which was ogres, and I think the Kickstarter is basically a team of ogres you can buy, and the intention is to release a game for them as well as the Kickstarter grows, which is some kind of cross between rugby and Quidditch. And uniquely to the game, I think the idea is that the teams are made up of different races, so you actually hire the race to do a specific task. Some cheeky person made a comment about me looking like an ogre, and before I know it, there was a bearded ogre. So I'm just going to have a quick look at the Kickstarter. Oh, wow. I think he's already hit his goal. That's amazing. Hadn't even noticed. Okay then, so he's already got 12 backers. There's 13 days to go, but it's fairly straightforward anyway. A little bit about them, what the project is. So he's talking about this gore ball, which will be a mashup of soccer, American football, and rugby with a big dollop of Quidditch. So it's crazy stuff. The miniatures are created using 3D sculpting, so you can see some of the stuff that is intending to do, which all look quite disturbing. And then I think this is Spiker, who's one of the first ogres to be released. So I think this is your first pledge, but he intends, as it says there, to do 6 or more of them. And here we have, painted by Mr. Stocks himself, the Kill, because it rhymes with Kill. And as you can see, he's got a mighty beard of joy, and it is a beautiful beard. And he's also sporting a little WGO logo up there, but that's because Sam was cheeky and painted him up in the WGO colours, which is cool, isn't it? The red, white and black of WGO. So, oh, right. Oh, I haven't seen this. Oh, I have seen this one, actually. This is the Masked Ogre. So this is Lecter. So this is the other. So it looks like right now there are 3 renders. There is Spiker, Kill, and Lecter. And here we go. Here's the basic information. So 1 ogre is £10 pledge. 2 ogres for 19. I'm not going to read it all out. But basically, for a £36 pledge, you can have 6 ogres. Which, even if you're not super keen on waiting for Gorball to come along, it's a bit of a bargain, isn't it, really? Because you can use that in other fantasy-related football games, I suppose. Oh, my goodness me. There we go, T-shirts. Oh, wow, quite like... Oh, magnets. Oh, I know why the magnets are there. Mark mentioned this. This is a really clever idea. The balls will magnetize to the base, so you can just drop them on and take them off. So you know who's carrying it. Oh, I like that bag. Right, oh, excuse me, keeping me awake. Sorry, everyone. So check out that. Already. Oh, excuse me. It's already hit its pledges, but the more backers he gets, no doubt there are going to be a bunch of stretch goals, because I know Mark, and he's hobby fanatic, so he will release as much as possible because he absolutely loves making models. Right. What else have we got going off here then? Ralph Hummel. I'm not quite sure what's going on about Free Primus Marines. Turning into who's who of big names in YouTube gaming. I've missed something. Oh, Tabletop Minions. Hello, Tabletop Minions. Sorry, I've been doing shout outs. Hi, how are you doing today? I'm a big fan of your wonderful bearded videos as well. And in fact, actually, last night I was going through your latest chat, actually. And my wife was sitting next to me watching as well. Actually, she was working, but she was listening to your dulcet tones of angelic light. Okay, where are we now? Yes, Phil Ogre already pledged, and I haven't pledged on the Kickstarter in a year and a half. Elster Nation, you're a sucker for ogres. That's what you are, sir. Anyway, I think you've met Mark anyway, but you know a good model when you see it. Don't forget Sam's freehand logo. I did point it out. Yes, look at that. It's a KR case only. Yes, well, KR cases. We all know how much we love those things. Right. Well, how are we doing for time? First and foremost, I've got about another 10 minutes, and I said I would open it for Q&A. So, does anybody have any questions? I still need to look up a Titan, don't I, for one of you wonderful fellows out there. So you were asking, I think, was it the Warhammer Titan or the Warlord Titan? There's some pretty nasty stuff. We've been looking at the Night Titans, and they're pretty filthy before they even get going. So the Chaos Warlord Titan, for instance, is 200 power points, which is just incredible. And it's got some wonderful weapons in there, for instance, like here we go, the Reaver Laser Blaster, which is a 96-inch range, which is macro 3d3, strength 10, minus 3 AP, and 2d6 damage. And against infantry, each successful hit roll inflicted by this weapon instead becomes 3 hits. So as you can see, the Warlord Titan is just going to be a whole bunch of nastiness and fun. Whether you would ever get into dealing out a Warlord Titan in a game. Has anybody played them? I suppose they're Apocalypse, aren't they? But at 200 points, that's equivalent to, what are we looking at? 1,000 for about 50 points, aren't we? So you are looking at 4,000 points before you roll onto the table. And in fact, there is actually the points in the back of the book, so I suppose I could just look, but you know, I don't want to give too much away from the book. I'm sure Forge World would be much happier if you went out and bought the book. Maybe, I should imagine so. But we were looking. Myself and Luke were on. We were on chat earlier together, and we were looking at the. We were looking at the Night Titans, and they're just filthy. They're just crazy. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun getting those big models up. Right, okay, a couple more quick questions then. There we go. Seymour. KL cases are fantastic. So give a family the codes to get exactly what I want for presents. What a brilliant idea of pre-writing your code list and supplying it to your family. I love that idea. Our levels are already 100 plus. It can't be. It's over 9,000. So okay then. Yes, I have to say that's its base value, isn't it? Or at least it's an average value of 200. So I wasn't even counting weapons. So no doubt it's going to get quite filthy by the start of sticking points on. And welcome to make the trip over here if they'd like. Tabletop Minions. Yes, we'd love to come and see you. I think we really do need to do a trip to the US. Any airbrush tutorials up yet on Premium? Not quite yet. Where am I at? What day is it? It is Monday. Tuesday night, I am filming the first airbrush tutorials tomorrow night, and I hope to get them edited by the weekend. I know I said this weekend, but it was pretty busy. We spent the entire day up at Warhammer World on Saturday with the team, which set me back a little bit. And over the weekend, Jack's been going into his last 2 GCSE exams, and he's done triple science, so he's into the real hardcore science exams this week. And we've just been focusing on, as you should, family first, focusing on getting revision done and helping him get as good a place as possible for those exams. He's done the hardest chemistry exam today and came out of it and confidently said, well, it wasn't that bad, which is all you ever get out of a teenager anyway. But physics tomorrow, and then he is free, and his intention is to start helping out on the channel as well. So good news is I plan to film some airbrush tutorials, and Jackie's going to help out with some editing. That will be the place. You've asked if they're up on Premium. They're going to be both, to be honest. So there will be some stuff on Premium. The longer tutorials would be on Premium, but there'll be some hints and tips going up on the YouTube channel as well. Right, look forward to those. Yes, I'm sorry, Ralph and Johnsonator and everybody else who's been asking for the airbrush tutorials. I am trying to get there. It's just been a busy period for me. I've got a crazy week this week up until Wednesday, and after Wednesday it gets a little bit good for me, but I am all set up. I can even point the camera over at my airbrush station, and I am all set up, ready to rumble. And the Vallejo metallics are out, and I've built a couple of the cylinders from the Karajan Overlords to practice them on, basically. Also, Sam is intending on bringing his Custodes out because he wants to try some of those Vallejo metallics on his Custodes. So there'll be a bunch of great stuff coming out soon. Do you think the new Primaris Codex will have rules for all the Space Marine chapters, or just rules for the new Primaris stuff? It's just, I can't imagine it being all the chapters. It's just going to be Primaris. Whether they have a bit like the whole chapter specific rules for them, probably not. Probably not at this stage. I think you might get later on, as they release some of the codexes for the chapters, some kind of some kind of way of adding the keyword to the chapter to the Primaris you've got, so you can have Primaris as a keyword, but then you can add Space Wolves, and if you do that, then they'll benefit from some of the area effects and abilities of the leaders. But I think they'll do that from the specific codexes, from the chapter specific codexes up. The Primaris, I think, will be aimed primarily at people just playing them as Primaris to a degree. So we will see, for instance, the Dreadnought and the vehicle, and no doubt a few characters into that codex as soon as possible, please, because Sam is very, very itchy for it. Ross and Fist, I'm looking forward to those airbrush tutorials, but excellent focus on family first. It's a tricky balance. I try and do as much as I can for the channel, but it's just a busy period. I think with Jack going through his exam and work's been a bit crazy as well. So I've tried to balance everything, but it does mean some stuff has got delayed, and also things have come along. Like, for instance, we weren't really expecting to be building a studio in the middle of all of this. We thought it would take us a while to get to the point where we were kind of having to prepare a studio, but if you look at how much time we lost into putting the studio, getting the studio built, and of course that then drove forward 8th edition coming out, drove forward the need to get a bunch of the 8th edition scenery done as well. So I sunk quite a few nights into getting the 8th edition scenery done, and there's still more work to be done. But what I'm thinking with some of those as well is, if I am doing some things like airbrush stuff that sits outside of tutorials, then one of the ideas is to stream some of those on Twitch, so I can just chat along and people can watch along and I can talk about what I'm doing, but they won't be specifically like a tutorial. But it's something we're discussing with Sam at the moment, about whether we put some of that content up on Twitch. So if people would be interested in that, if they follow Twitch, if they look at Twitch, let us know if they think it's worthwhile. Stephen wishing Jack all the best for what's left of his exams. One more to go. He's worked so incredibly hard. We just don't deserve him as a kid. He's been amazing. Ralph talking about the Vallejo metallics are wonderful, at least for brush painting. So I just imagine that for airbrushing. Yes, I'm pretty excited about them. Use Vallejo metallic plates with gloss primer and an airbrush. Amazing stuff. Okay. Are we talking about the new metallic paints or the airbrush range? Because the ones I've got to try out is the metal color range. So, and I think that's what Robbie has just mentioned there as well. Any chance that Imperial Fist will get a codex, or is it just 3-4 major chapters will get updated? Right. Okay. I think probably you will see a bit like we've seen in Age of Sigmar, these mini dexes. So Caradron Overlords, Oryx. You know, I think that's what you'll see. So hopefully, I hope everybody gets a bit of love, a bit of individual love would be nice, wouldn't it? And I think it'd be a good idea if they just produce these small books, softback, £15. You know, this is a Forge World book for £15. You know, but I know that okay, they'll charge a bit more because it's going to contain fluff. But I'd love it if they just got on and gave everybody a little bit of individual love, so they could build their codexes, build their armies. Will they group stuff together? I hope not. I hope we don't see the big marine decks anymore. I hope not. The new metallic color range is what I talked about. Yes. Okay, Ralph. Yes, we're on the same page. Great. So Stephen saying one extra book to cover would do. Yeah, I think that's the whole thing. I'm hoping we move past. Move past would do into. Come on. Show some love to everybody. Do I ever dabble in terrain? Yes, I do. Yeah, I suppose in many respects I'm the terrain guy for Wargamer Online. I don't know what that means really. I think it's I build all the books. What I'll do next Monday is I will create a little slideshow of the city board I'm working on. Because that's pretty sweet. That goes from sort of desert into city limits, into city centre, and then onto industrial zone. So it's in early days, but if I create a slideshow and show everybody what I'm up to, yes. If you look at the desert board, of course, that's on our tutorials. The desert board was done by myself. And in fact, the snowboard was me as well. In fact, any board that's been built has been me so far, except for, of course, the neoprene mats that we received. I do one every other Sunday, including yesterday. Oh, this is the live chat. Yes, you do, take Mr. Minions. I watched your wonderful live chat. So some people have just been missing them. I think that's the curse of YouTube, just not telling people when you're on. The real. Try everyone do great painting. We went outdoors yesterday. Yeah, it's we're wondering whether the sunny weather will affect everybody's statistics in terms of internet usage. Maybe that's one for Tabletop Minions to tell us from his wise words of internet connectivity, is whether the summer is a slow time for him or not. But yes, people may venture out and see what's happening in the real world. Personally, my concession is my hobby room is a converted double garage, and I've actually managed to get my wonderful wife to agree for us to convert it properly. So I'm going to have a window, so I can at least look out of a window at the outside. Sorry. So this is Fozzie Wozzie saying, Phil, your very early post on YouTube saying you would be live in 9 hours was very useful. There's a smiley face, so I'm hoping that's not sarcasm. I was trying out the schedule. What's interesting about the schedule thing is it doesn't really seem to do anything. I mean, I've scheduled one that was fine, and then there's this whole this whole bit in the background that says, okay, start your encoder. You can preview the stream and then you're live. So I started the encoder and we just went live. Luckily we were only 15 minutes out, and I'll need to edit that off the stream. But yes, I'm glad. I'm hoping that wasn't sarcasm and it did actually make it useful to find that this chat was on. The next chat will be 9 o'clock on Wednesday, so how about that for forward notice? The wet palette I did, yes, which works with some kind of membrane. I did see that. It's very, very nice looking, and I love the typical gadget geek. I love the little magnetized palette bits that stick on the side. Feel free to pop a link if you can in there. I'm not sure you can in the chat, but if not, just go onto Facebook and search for wet palette, because it's a Kickstarter, isn't it? So hopefully it gets the attention it deserves if it works as well as the video says. Not sarcasm from Fozzie Wozzie. Thank you. That's great then. That's cool. Joseph, do enjoy your calm voice though, like a Bob Ross of wargaming. I think he's probably talking to Tabletop Minions there and not myself. He is the Bob Ross of wargaming, certainly. Review and live stream when using proper stream software. How big a window? About 4 or 5 foot long. 2 foot high, something like that. All right. Anyway, it's going to let me have daylight to paint to, which is going to be good news. Well, looking at the time, I said I'd spend an hour catching up with everyone, giving you a little bit of a sneaky preview of what's going off on my desk. So just to come back down to, I just want to say these, hopefully next time we talk, these will actually be done, because I really want to field them in my first 1,000-point list. I love the little Tyranid symbol and the fact that it fit on the part of this. This was an Ogren shield, which I sort of chopped down, and there was a little round disc in the middle that the Tyranid symbol fit perfectly on. So I was pretty pleased with that. These were all that's the arm to the chainsaw, by the way. I'll preempt the inevitable questions, and that's simply scratch built out of plastic card and rod and little bits of strips of plastic that are just all cut and stuck together. So hopefully they'll be done next week. I'll do a little update on those. I may even do one of the tutorials based on working in that colour, because yellow is always fun to work. And hopefully as well I can get this vehicle done, which is terrible colour and lighting. Get the idea. I want to get this done, which just leaves me with masses of infantry to do then. But masses of pop up out of nowhere and kill you infantry, which is just going to be good fun. So on that note, have a good evening. Thank you very much for joining me. Sam will be on live on Wednesday. We will be trying to find some time this week to try and film the next couple of battle reports as well. But if not, in the meantime, pop along to the website, wargameronline.com. There's a whole bunch of additional content on there, and I think Sam has just, yes he has, last couple of days ago, posted up a Age of Sigmar battle report into the premium section. So if you've not popped along and checked that out already, then do so. If you already have done and you're supporting us on premium, thank you very much. You're making all of this possible, so it is greatly appreciated. And we'll say good night. Okay, good night everyone. See you soon. Bye.